Hi you guys, welcome back to Psychic Renegade Tarot. It's morning time, so I'm kind of whispering, so I'm sorry. I really want to cover the Micah Miller case. Was it a suicide? Was she pressured into shooting herself? For some of you that don't know the backstory of the case, I'm going to insert some clips.
Case of Micah Miller here in Myrtle Beach has so many unanswered questions.
30-year-old Micah Miller died after making several videos on domestic abuse, mental health, and keeping the faith. On April 28th, just one day after her death, her husband John Paul announced to the church congregation of her passing and also told them that it was self-inflicted and she wasn't well mentally. The crowd was in disbelief. Micah's family states that they believe Micah did not take her own life, but instead her husband, Pastor John Paul. Micah had filed for divorce months prior to her death, as well as a no-contact order.
A South Carolina pastor's wife's death by suicide has taken the internet by storm, with new details released every day. Micah Miller died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound at a park in April. Newly obtained police reports list Miller as the victim. On February 21st, Miller told police she had been separated from her husband, John Paul Miller, since January 2023. Miller told police she was involuntarily hospitalized earlier that month, and when she was released, had reason to believe John Paul stole her vehicle. She also revealed that she knew John Paul since she was 10 and that he groomed her while at the church until they were married, according to the report. John Paul told police that the pair were not legally separated and that Micah suffered from mental health disorders.
I'll just give you a brief rundown. She was a pastor's wife over in South Carolina, and she was married to J.P. Miller. He was a pastor of Solid Rock Church over there, and from the outside looking in, everything looked perfect. They looked happy. She was a stepmom to his 5 children, and he was co-parenting with the mother, as far as I know. She ends up committing suicide in a national park up in North Carolina. There is a 911 actual clip of her calling. Some people that have spliced up that call and they can hear a male's voice in the background, they're saying. There's a lot of reason to believe, especially from her family, that maybe she didn't commit suicide, maybe she was coerced or blackmailed or actually forced into this in some kind of way.
The theory of suicide does not add up to me, because you're telling me her body floated all the way down this stagnant water.
Where the shell casings and such were found, and the gun was found forward of that, right in the water, and then her body was about 40 meters away, and the water doesn't flow at all. There's no way she would have floated 40 meters away from the edge. It is as if she was placed there.
In surveillance footage we obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, you can see her leaving home, buying a gun, and stopping at this remote gas station.
And there's backstory to that. He's like put trackers on her car before. He's threatened her. He's tried to control her in different ways. Fed her lithium. I think that's the drug, was same drug that Britney Spears was fed. It's just, there's a lot of control and what I would call abuse, but it seems like she was opening up about that too, and maybe that was a fear of his. He didn't want his true character coming out. But we're going to talk about it because it sounds really suspicious to me, especially she died a couple days after filing for divorce, and then a couple days later he's seen like out at a cafe with his girlfriend, who he's been seeing for years.
He was rumored to be having a romantic relationship with one of the church members, Susie Skinner, who also lost her husband to a self-unaliving.
Her husband was in a wheelchair, and he ended up mysteriously drowning back in 2021 before all this happened. So, I mean, it's just, it's a little suspicious that both of their partners mysteriously died. It's a little suspicious they're within a few years of each other. And there's more backstory to JP being creepy and grooming Micah since she was in the youth group at a very young age of like 14, according to her family, when they started going to this church.
There are some allegations that were made against him that I kind of talked about briefly in my previous video, that is claiming that he would take Micah and have homeless men off themselves on her. Is that the right way to say that? I'm not sure how else to say that without upsetting YouTube here, but he would have homeless men like get off on her. And his ex-wife also alleges that he had a sex doll of a 4-year-old. It is not hard for me to believe the claims of the word that I can't say, the P word that I can't say. It is not hard for me to believe those claims because when he met Micah, she was actually 10 years old. It was originally said she was 14, but she was 10 years old when he met her, and he groomed her entire childhood and teenage life.
You can look at it however you want, but he was much older than her, in his 40s. He was the pastor of her youth group, and then he officiated her first marriage to her other partner, and then she was his secretary, and then she was his babysitter, and then she became his mistress, and then his wife. I mean, he was like a young, attractive pastor of a big church. So the power dynamics, I mean, say what you want, but that's pretty groomy to me. Already being creepy, and then his girlfriend's husband turns up drowned in a pool in 2021, and his wife kills herself in early 2024. It's just a little suspicious to me. So, and then all the backstory of him kind of like shaming her and talking about their marriage on the pulpit and just like being inappropriate, and he doesn't sound like he respects her.
Last year, my wife, they went to Africa, had a wonderful trip, amazing trip. And she came back with the idea to start a school in Africa. And 6 weeks ago, she goes in the hospital, gets out, and just leaves. Just completely leaves me, leaves everything, drains the bank account, and goes. And guess what? While you're talking bad about me out there, I'm building a school in Africa for over 100 kids to be able to be fed. I'm just doing that. I'm doing the work. Now listen. So while you're talking about me on Facebook, look up in the sky and you'll see a Solid Rock logo on a plane. That's me going to Miami.
I don't know. And his emotional outbursts are, I can't handle. But anyway, this sounds like it could have been a pretty, allegedly, and for entertainment purposes only, this is a lot about just my opinions, but draw your own conclusions. These are my conclusions I'm drawing based on Micah's statements and family members' statements and JP's own statements, listening to him, several of his sermons. So I'm not just saying this off nothing, and I do want to do a reading, but I don't know. It all seems suspicious to me, and I'm not saying he's involved because he might not be. She might have struggled with mental health. She might not have been able to get to her medication as he stated. So we're going to look into what the cards say about this case. I'm super interested, and thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Did I miss anything?
I already know I missed so many details. As I was researching this case and unpacking, it just kept going and going and going. There's actually so many horrific details to this case, but anyway, I'm just even more convinced than I was before that there's some foul play.
What are your thoughts about this case? Do you think it was a straightforward suicide? He's just moving on with his life? Do you think there's suspicion that his girlfriend's partner also turned up dead? Do you think his behavior is inappropriate? If anyone is curious, I think I'm gonna talk about this. My hand tattoos. I got a cute, adorable little butterfly. I got questions about it already, so I thought I would mention it. Shout out my tattoo artist. I went over to Brenna Rose Tattoo. She did an awesome job. She's so nice. She did exactly what I wanted. She was so sweet, and I honestly barely felt this. I would definitely recommend her. Okay, you guys. Let me know if that works. All right. Okay, I'm nervous. I always get nervous doing true crimes. Okay. So I did write down some questions. Did she act alone? What exactly happened? Did he groom her? Did he plan all of this, the divorce or the deaths, including his girlfriend's partner? Are they both just grieving widows that had freak accidents, or I don't know? Is there more to the story? According to her family, she had like scratch marks and like bruising that indicated she was like fighting somebody. Since he had already followed her and drugged her, I don't think it's a far shot to think he could have followed her and drugged her, and then they somehow forced the gun on her. But anyway, I don't know what happened. She could have acted alone. She did call 911. Some people are saying that was like maybe AI, because like someone he's close with is like a founder of AI or creates AI or something. She sounded like her speech was a little slowed to me, like she was out of breath maybe, or impaired is kind of how it sounded, but I don't know her normal speaking voice, her normal cadence or whatever. First card out is King of Cups. I'm feeling out of breath, you guys, and I was like fine earlier. I was making coffee, doing yoga. I'm getting like a lot of ego off of him, off of this card, and also just his energy. I've seen enough of his energy looking into this case. He likes the attention. So he had another wife, right, that he had all his kids with. I think she's the mother of all his kids. And then Micah came along. I feel like he set his sights on her, and he liked the attention. He liked her looking up to him, like idolizing him. He always kept her close to him, right? Like he was her pastor, she was his secretary, she was his babysitter, and then she became his mistress. Like, it's the power dynamic feels icky to me, because there's always been one. So of course she's gonna like look up to him. He's her pastor, you know what I mean? Page of Swords, exactly. She was like, oh God, his student. He likes being able to be like, this is the way, and her being like, oh yeah, you're so right. He doesn't like being challenged. He can't handle that. This is literally why he wanted to be the leader of this church, because it's like he can't handle his authority being challenged, so he needs to be the leader. I feel like she was a very like encouraging person, verbally, and she had a sweet demeanor. So she lifted him up. She like propped him up. She gave him the confidence to be who he was, to lead the church. Yeah, it's like he fed off of her energy, basically. I don't like that. I don't like that. There was some kind of like, allegedly for entertainment purposes only, this is what's coming through in the cards. There was some kind of SA, like abuse in a sexual manner. I might have to make this video 18+. I don't know. She alluded to something like that. Like she briefly said something about that, but she didn't really talk about it. So maybe she felt taken advantage of, or coerced, or used in some kind of way by him. I don't know in what way that is. Like, she was expected to do certain things, or she was expected to put up with certain things. I mean, some people don't think that there can be that kind of abuse between partners, but I've experienced it. I'm not going to name names, but like, if you don't feel safe with someone in that way, it's really, you can't really be with them, you know? It's really weird. So yeah, I don't blame her for like growing up and being like, maybe this is weird, maybe this is wrong, maybe I don't have to be treated like this, or expected to do these things, or put up with these things, whatever it was. He didn't like that. He didn't like her talking back. She grew a backbone. Micah grew a backbone. That's what happened. That's why their marriage started to deteriorate. She started to see through his bullshit and his charm. He's giving me narcissistic traits. I don't know if he is one. For example, knows what you want to hear, will say what needs to be said to get what he wants. Not to do those things that he's promising you, just to get what he wants. basically. King of Wands. I'm getting like a really lustful energy off of him, I'm not gonna lie. Look at this. King of Wands, Queen of Wands. This is allegedly for entertainment purposes only. This is the way I'm seeing it in the cards. For some reason, we're talking about like their relationship and how it deteriorated and what happened. I'm seeing it as like he has a very strong sexual appetite, and it got to a point where she didn't want to put up with it, or she was feeling like used maybe, or I don't know, maybe he was neglecting her emotionally or in some other way. I don't know. So he found his girlfriend, I think her name's Stacy or Sarah, or I forgot her name, you guys, I'm sorry. The one he's like out to lunch with, they're like more compatible in that kind of way. And I feel like it's honestly just because she's fresh or like hasn't known him as long, so it's exciting. Or they were both cheating, so it was exciting. I don't know. Some people are into that, or the thrill of it, or whatever. People got issues, okay? We all got issues. They're more compatible in some kind of way, but he was torn. He was torn because I feel like he did love Micah, but he couldn't. I feel like he can't help himself with some of the other stuff that he's into, or the other like sexual stuff he's into. I don't know. I just feel like he can't help himself pursuing other things because maybe she just put her foot down and so he went elsewhere. Like maybe in the beginning it was more like this, and then she kind of grew up and was like, I want to do this in the church or be involved in that, and she kind of got busy and wanted to like do her own thing, and he just didn't like it. He didn't like it. She wasn't like his little puppet anymore. He just wants someone to worship him, to be honest. That's the word that came through. It's funny. It's not funny, but anyone that's been through like religious abuse or used to go to a church or something like that, you probably know what I'm talking about. I don't know. It's feeling like it was not healthy for her at all. And I mean, I'm not surprised. She came in as a mistress, and when she left, he had a mistress. So this man obviously has a problem with infidelity. He can't keep it in his pants. The 8 of Wands came out. The King of Wands came out. I mean, come on. 2 of Swords came out with the Page of Swords and the Queen of Wands. He started getting afraid that Micah was smart enough to take him down. I don't think that was her intention. I think she just wanted out of the marriage. She just realized it was bullshit. She just didn't want to be like strung through his mess. You know, you obviously had the other thing going on. So, in my opinion, maybe since 2021. So why are you dragging this poor woman through hell? You know, let her go. I think maybe for his pride, for the church, for what it looked like, he wanted her to like save face and like, ooh, maybe put up with it. What the? Ooh, because yeah, she served him divorce papers, right? And that's what pissed him off. So he expected her to just put up with the cheating? What the? 3 of Pentacles. No, she wasn't gonna do it. Maybe he expected her to keep his secrets and not speak up for the victims. Allegedly. Oh. Why am I getting like spiking drinks? Wasn't he a youth pastor? Oh my god. Someone needs to look into this man and ask the other females and maybe males around him that have been in his care, because this is looking sadistic to me. He's been in the care of minors. Supposedly, that's part of one of the things Micah was going to expose him on was, I don't know, this is just allegedly things that I've seen out in the news. So, check your own facts, you guys. This is just a tarot reading, okay? But she alleged that he was having affairs with minors. I don't know if that's true, but this is looking like, to me, he'd have to like coerce or instigate them. He's an adult. It's feeling icky. Okay, let's get out of that energy. I'm feeling grossed out. The marriage was unhealthy, and that's why she wanted to leave. I don't blame her. Let's ask, did Micah act alone? Did she act alone the day that she was up in the forest and she called in? Was it just a suicide? We have the Ace of Swords in reverse, followed by, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Oh, hell no. And the Knight of Cups upright. This is looking at, to me, like either two men were with her or like one man instructed another man to go along, because what's the lie? What's the deception? What is the false narrative that's being spun? Because the Ace of Swords is in reverse here. And I don't like that these are both knights. And her family was concerned that someone followed her to the park because he had followed her several times. They found trackers on her car. So that was an easy, plausible story. Somebody could have followed her there. With the two knights, this to me feels like a setup. This to me feels like a lover or someone acting in their emotional energy called judgment or orchestrated a situation, right? And then I'm getting, with the Nine of Pentacles reverse and the Nine of Wands reverse, they're just like determined to stop someone's actions or put an end to something is what I'm looking at, because Knight of Wands upright is like determination and the Nine of Pentacles is also a determination. So it's like these coming out both in the reverse is like she had too much will to fight and they couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it. That is deception and like stopping someone's victory, stopping someone's progressive movement. She told her sister, I want to get a divorce, but I don't think I'll make it. She didn't think that he would let her go for some reason, probably because he, was being a creepy psycho. Feeding her drugs, following her around, going through her phone, obsessing about who she talks to. But meanwhile, he has a whole girlfriend, right? So make it make sense, dude. Anyway. And then look at the Judgment card. Do you see? I didn't notice that before. She has spirit guides around her that are like guiding her or helping her, or that have noticed her situation for some time. Temperance reverse. They notice he's trying to drive her mad. I think he really was trying to drive her mad. He was trying to say her mental health was off. He was like giving her PTSD, feeding her drugs, doing all this crazy stuff to her. I think he was trying to drive her mental so he can be like, look, she's mental. It's not funny, sorry. I laugh at inappropriate times. This is looking like almost an intent to kill at the same time to me, because I know that she's gone, because Temperance in reverse, she's like the angel card. He has some kind of like weird obsession with her. I think it's mainly also to control his image. He can't control her if they're divorced. He can't control what she talks about, what she says. Why don't you just get her to sign an NDA, dude? Get her to shut up instead of killing her. Oh my god. Page of Swords came out. Okay. So he was also trying to stop the divorce. Like he didn't want the divorce to go through. He didn't want to like look bad. Do you really think you're gonna get away with murder, dude? What? It feels kind of like either murder for hire to me, or he had someone else do it. Like I don't really feel like he did it. I feel like more he paid someone to do it, or did something to her to where she felt like she had to do it, like froze her accounts. I don't know. he might have forced her to do something at some time that he could use as blackmail over her. I don't know. Some kind of slander, some kind of lies he was like spinning about her, and the devil came out. Ooh, okay, well, he kind of regrets it. Oh my god, he just regrets that he got caught. What's the energy I'm getting? Like very smug. Very smug, very smug. So I'm getting like someone had to put, like there was intention to put a stop to this female. And part of it, I don't know, this could also be like a struggle, or she avoided a struggle. I feel like she left evidence. If this was like coerced or forced or something, I feel like she left evidence to point to that, to point to the struggle, or to point to something else. With the Justice and the Six of Wands and the Ace of Swords reverse, evidence was hidden or tampered with. Something was moved. It was made to look like something it wasn't, is what I'm seeing here. They didn't want them to solve this case, I guess. I'm getting the the King of Cups is like enacting his own judgment, his own psycho plot with the devil here, and the Temperance reverse. But it's not going to go the way he plans it to go with the Four of Cups. Narcissists often feel like they're smarter than the law. Some people do get away with shit, but not everybody, okay? And there's such a thing as like statute of time, okay? And some things murder does not have, usually you can get, there's no time limit, you know what I'm saying? I don't think she acted alone. That looks like a setup. That looked like two other people were involved. That looked like conflict, and stuff was deliberately covered up. What happened? What happened? Show me what happened. Ooh, okay. Ooh. Eight of Wands. Five of Cups. I need a drink. This is basically, Micah had to get away from the situation. She knew it was dangerous to leave him, and that he probably was going to do something extreme, or she wouldn't be able to get away. Either if that's mentally or physically, she wouldn't be able to handle it, or he would do something to her. I'm getting this as like she was resisting him sexually is where the problem started, or maybe he was cheating, but she couldn't handle it, or she didn't want to give up her body to him if he was cheating on her. So there started like this contention between them, or whatever the word is. It started to rock the boat. At some point she felt like she just had to get out, and that was her goal, but she didn't make it. So I don't think she killed herself, because these swords are in her back, right? This person's crawling away, trying to get away. Look how it says Matt. I know that's the artist, but that's crazy. Anyway, Six of Swords. I feel like someone is trying to get away with something. Queen of Swords is a woman that speaks her mind. It's someone you can't control. It's someone that's in their power, has a voice, is going to speak up. I'm getting this as Micah was going to speak up about the sexual stuff that happened, and JP couldn't let that happen with the Nine of Swords reverse. Yeah, he was like, no, you're not going to talk about that. You're not going to talk about my business. Temperance reverse came out with Ten of Swords. He was going to stop her any way he had to, by any means necessary. This I got as like a student card, and apprentices, something in that situation he wants to get away from. He wants to get away from something she was going to speak about, something that was going to come out in the light. I think he forgot that like there's other victims. He can't kill them all. They're gonna talk, dude. He's done. So he influenced or was directly involved in her demise, in my opinion. He didn't want what she was going to talk about to come out. He wanted a quick, smooth divorce. He wanted to move on with his facade and his new woman and his church, and he wanted to keep living the lie and get away with whatever he was doing. Even if he intended to stop whatever he was doing, I think he just wanted to get away with it. He didn't want to like answer for it. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to face it. He didn't want to have to go to prison for it. He didn't want to have to look at that. So he was willing to do whatever he had to do to Micah, with words and temperance reversed here. His intention was to get away with this. His intention is to pin it on her and her mental health, but really it's to shut her up. Did he groom her from a young age? Did he groom her from a young age? He knew her from a young age. Did he groom her from a young age? Set his sights on her, start influencing how she felt about him. King of Pentacles reversed. Oof, the Hierophant. The World reversed. The Magician reversed. She's the Pentacles. He made her an offer she basically couldn't refuse. Pentacles reversed. The Hierophant upright. The World reversed. Seems like entrapment or manipulation. Magician reversed is also heavy influence manipulation. With the Ace of Pentacles, I feel like it's just, he was always offering her opportunities, right? Like he probably was kind to her in youth group and then offered her the position of secretary or whatever, and then offered her a position of like babysitting, and then like, I don't know, it just, it was always just looking like so shiny and wonderful in her position because she was younger and impressionable, and he was in a position of authority, and with the Hierophant here, like spiritual authority. He was pastor. Like he was misusing funds is how I'm seeing it. Maybe even misusing church funds. I would look into that. He was maybe spending money on, like maybe like setting up charities and spending money on mistresses instead, or his own things for his own pleasure, not what he said the money was intended for. With the World and the Magician both in reverse, I'm seeing that as heavy manipulation and the Ace of Pentacles. So I don't know. I don't really want to dig into this because it's grossing me out, but grooming, yeah, I would say so, yeah. Do I think that he had anything to do with both of the deaths? The death of his girlfriend's husband and the death of his wife. So did he plan any of this? Was he trying to plan a divorce? Did he want to avoid a divorce? And the money that goes into that, was this like financially motivated? Did he have nothing to do with it? He's just a double tragedy within the same romantic group. Was this planned in any type of way on JP's part? Was this planned in any type of way on JP's part? Part of me, I can't remember his name. I think it's Christopher was the other husband, and then Micah. We're gonna look at Christopher and Micah. We got Eight of Pentacles reversed and the Sun reversed and the Five of Swords upright. For Micah, the other gentleman, the husband of his girlfriend. So people don't know if this was accidental or suicide as well. But I know that he drowned, so that's one thing. Three of Wands. Look at this, how it's like up on like a hiking trail. Isn't tarot crazy when it aligns with situations? Micah's side, I'm seeing like he didn't want her to shed light on some of the things maybe that he's done at work. He didn't want people to find this out or speak ill of him. With the Five of Swords here is the planning card. It's in reverse, so plans went not according to how it was supposed to, or I keep getting a strong sense that Micah left evidence, and it might be the 911 call. They were like trying to isolate a certain point of it. They thought they heard a male's voice. like a sinking feeling, but I'm also getting this sinking feeling of like, not just the drowning part, but it's almost like someone pushed you in kind of thing. Maybe he didn't see who it was, but someone pushed him from behind. So it's almost kind of like, what the you know someone did it, but you're not sure who. Maybe situation, like if she was cheating on him already, or this is just a female with the 3 of Cups. And I'm getting a lot of male energy on Micah's side. Male, male, and male. Hey. They just literally are both widows, but that's not the energy I'm getting. So I'm getting this as like her motivation, if allegedly she's involved at all, was wanting to be in a position of power, wanting to have the ability to make decisions like that. She was enticed by the power position with the Queen of Wands, 6 of Pentacles here. His motivation was just fear. Fear and ego. He didn't want to be found out, didn't want people to know what was really going on in his life. He was willing to shut her up by any means possible. That's what we like pulled earlier. Did they plan it? Allegedly, yeah, I kind of think so. I don't know if they planned it together. It feels like he took care of her and she took care of him. I mean, he was an easy target if he was crippled and he liked swimming. She literally knew his schedule, and probably so did JP, but anyway. I don't know if they have like video footage or any kind of evidence to see if anyone else was in the area. I don't know if they looked. 10 of Swords, 10 of Cups, being betrayed by the ones closest to you, 9 of Swords, the Hermit. Okay, so this piece of karma that's coming out is saying that the people involved are experiencing heavy, I don't know if it's a remorse, but like a haunting. So if someone was involved, they're not going to get away with it. They're afraid, and they're being confronted with what they did. Someone is going to be made to be confronted with what they did. With the Hermit here, I'm getting someone might get locked up for this or be put in isolation to where they have to think about what they did. Even if they get away with it, I'm getting the sense of like they didn't really get away with it, not in the public eye, so they're gonna have to like be shamed and run away. Kind of like Amber Heard ran to Europe and changed her name to Martha, whatever. Kind of like that. They can't live a normal life anymore. So good luck with that. I have a heavy sense that these people were involved. The family believes so. The evidence suggests there might have been foul play. The heavy amount of circumstantial evidence at play is hard to ignore, and what kind of keeps me circling back around to the other facts. So I don't know, I just think law enforcement definitely needs to take this seriously. It's an open case. It's a tarot reading, so take everything I said allegedly for entertainment purposes only and a grain of salt. I just kind of wanted to dig into this and see what the cards would say, because it is an open case, and I do think there may be foul play. It's just a little too coinky-dink that all this happened, and it seems like the man has a lot to lose / cover up, and he seems very desperate.
There's another message that you sent us from John Paul Miller, and it's in a group of people, and if you could explain to us who all the people are in this group, but this is what the message appears to show from John Paul. This is what happens when you try to encourage someone to divorce the person they love and tell them they don't need medicine and that they're not ill when they are. Good job, Francis family. So who was he writing that to, and what was that about?
So that was the night of her death at around 10:30 at night. They had found out within a few hours of that message, and that was the text that he decided to send them.